When we reach my age and I'm upper 50s, almost 60, we start wanting to get our home in order, especially if we're getting ready to retire or we have just retired. We're spending more time here than ever before, and we want our environment to be peaceful and calm. Today, we are going to jump back into my decluttering journey, and I hope you will stick around. Hi, I'm Bonita and I am early retired. I'm not old enough yet for Social Security. I'm living on a low income and I am living off of savings. I live in Kansas on a farm and I have a donkey. This is Brownie. I have frugal videos all year round, and I hope that you will join me this year as we share ways to save money and live our dreams. I feel like when we are first retired or getting ready to retire, we are gung ho with decluttering. I know I was. I was doing it for at least 2 years before I retired. I did a lot of it that first year. And then this year, I've really slowed down, but I made a lot of progress those first few years. But I still continue to learn as I do this, and I'm still getting rid of things weekly. It's just not in the magnitude that it was before. So, some of the things that I wanted to point out is how important it is to start early, like start in your 50s while you're still able to stand, bend, maybe squat if you can squat in your 50s, sit on a chair, bend over, go through things. Make it as comfortable as you possibly can to be able to sort through things. And I have found that once I've gone through things, if I get to the point I can go through them a second time, like clothing, it's so much easier. When you're first starting, it's kind of hard to let go of some things, especially if you had any type of memory attached to it. If it was a good memory, say, oh, I wore this on vacation in such and such. I hate to get rid of it, even though it doesn't fit. There's a few times that you will go through things like that, and you find yourself wanting to hold on to things because they had a good memory attached, but they really don't serve a purpose anymore. And maybe your first pass through, you'll hang on to that shirt that you went to Hawaii in. But then a few years later, if you go through a second pass through, once you get through a lot of your other areas and crooks and crannies, you'll find that that really doesn't matter. Maybe you have a picture from Hawaii when you were wearing it, when you could fit into it. There's really no point in keeping it because maybe you'll never be that size again. I have found on my second pass through, I've gotten rid of a lot of clothes that I really, really loved that I finally decided, hey, this is never going to fit me right. I'm older now. I have bigger arms. I have a bigger bust. Some of these things I'm never going to fit into again, and it's okay to let them go now. I don't feel the attachment that I felt the first time. And the reason I say to start this in your 50s is right now I have a brother who is 71 and he is just now starting this. And I know that sounds crazy because if you know my brother, he has had both knees replaced, he has heart issues, he has all kinds of physical problems, and he's just now starting this. And my niece visited him a few weeks ago, and she said we spent most of the time with me trying to help him carry boxes of books between the floors because he can't safely carry these boxes of books. His knees won't allow it, and he really should have started sooner. And the garage is full as well. And she's feeling really overwhelmed because these are some of the things he's trying to do now alone on his own, and he's not safe to do them. So it's really important that we start as soon as possible because when you get to be our age, you have so many things that you may not even realize you have. And they are from all the years of our life, especially if you've lived somewhere a long time like I have, and you start going through them and reminiscing and thinking, wow, I haven't seen this in years. This is so cool. And you haven't seen it in years, but then you don't want to get rid of it. So there's a lot of emotions and thoughts that go through your head and memories, and it takes time to build up the ability to maybe go through things a little faster, maybe be a little more reasonable with the things that you want to keep, and say, hey, is this something that I'm using now? Does it make sense for me to keep it? Am I ever going to use it again? Could I give it to someone else that could use it and free up some space for myself? So, one of the things that I have noticed as I'm decluttering, because you can see the stages that I've gone through, and I have a decluttering playlist of like when I started up until now, and this video will be added to that as well. But we kind of progress, we kind of morph into a more adult version of ourselves as we start decluttering and we start making better decisions that are more reasonable for our space and for our lives. And I start looking at things and I say, okay, this meant something to me one time, but does it still mean something to me now? No. And I started getting rid of some things. Like I still had ring bearer pillows from my last marriage, and I had held on to them because they were really cute little decorative pillows. And then I looked at them and I thought, this marriage ended in divorce. Every time I see those pillows, I think of that. Is this really something that I want to hold on to? Because it's really triggering a bad time in my life when I look at them, even though they were beautiful and lacy and ruffly and such decorative little pillows that I could put on my bed. I looked at things like that and said, this doesn't serve a purpose anymore. And I don't need these anymore. And I don't need reminded of this every single day. And so I started really being ruthless with things like that and letting them go. And let me tell you, my bedroom is much more peaceful and calming for me now because of some of those things that were silent reminders of a time in my life that wasn't great. So that's one of the things that I found as I have gone through this process. The next thing that I found is if I have things sitting out, say on the kitchen counter, on my desk, on my dining room table, on my bedside stand, on my dresser, there's so many places we can pile things, right? And if I have things sitting out there, I've started looking at them differently. Before I would have totally ignored those things. But now I look at them and I think, why are these things sitting here? Do they not have a place to go? Is that why they're sitting here? Do I not need them? Or is it because the places they should go, like drawers or area that I would store things, is full? And maybe that area that they should go is full of things that I need to go through again that I don't need. And so those are some ideas that then kind of progress as we declutter. We start seeing the things behind the drawers, where before we didn't see those things, they were hidden from us. Now, if I see things sitting out, I'm like, why are they sitting out? Do I need this? Yeah, I need it. Well, then why can't I put it somewhere? Because I have stuff in drawers that probably needs to go, so that stuff can go in the drawer. So those are some of the thought processes that I go through, and that's been helping me get rid of things. Another area is decluttering off season. I have found that if I go through any type of decorations, whether it's Christmas decorations, Halloween, Thanksgiving, I am less sentimental about it if I will go through it in the off season. I can be more realistic about, am I using this in the season? No, I haven't used it in years. Am I going to use it this year? No, I have something better that I usually use. I don't need this. And so I start looking at those things more realistically, like the totes of things that I have for decorations. How many years has it been since you used this item? Well, some of them are clear back to when my kids were home and I just loaded this house and every shelf with some sort of holiday item during the holidays. I would take everything off the shelves that was normal every day, all this holiday stuff up, and then take it all down afterwards because I had little kids and we enjoyed decorating together and we enjoyed having that atmosphere. Well, now it's just my husband and I. I do not turn my life upside down to decorate anymore. So some of these things I've held on to since my kids lived at home, but I realistically do not use them anymore. So that is one of the things that I look at. Decluttering off season for some of these things is easier because you're not as sentimental about it, and you're more realistic about whether you're actually using this item to decorate when the season does roll around. And the next area that I found so overwhelming when I started, but also one of the fastest ways to get things out of my house, was how much paper I had to go through. And paper can take a while to go through, but over the time, I've been able to really pare down how much paper I keep. I had boxes of old credit card statements, of old bank statements, of old tax forms. And when I started going through them and I saw the age, I thought, well, all these are just trash. Why did I hang on to them? But it's one of those things, you stick that paper back and you don't think about it again. Well, now I have a better system. I have an expando file that I use for all of my current stuff, like my medical bills, my property tax statements, and miscellaneous categories like that where I hang on to them. And then when I get ready to do my taxes at the end of the year, I get rid of the stuff that is at least 2 years old. I may hold on to last year's, but I get rid of the stuff that's 2 years old. Like, I always hang on to my medical statements just in case I would itemize. I've never itemized in my life. I've never had enough to itemize, but yet I hang on to those because sometimes there's a question on the date of something, maybe for your next provider, like what date did you go to the doctor for this? And I can look through those old medical bills from last year and they are helpful. But I have gotten in a pattern of throwing those away that are 2 years old and not hanging on to them anymore. Bank statements, I have started putting in 3-ring binders, and putting them in that binder makes it quick for me to check. And then if they're more than, say, 5 years old in that binder, I just throw them away. So tax statements, they say to keep them for 7 years. Sometimes they say with businesses to keep it 10 years. So I still have storage of when we owned a grocery store for 7.5 years. And I still have business papers that we're storing in totes that I would love to get rid of. And I'm just now starting to get to the point where I can start getting rid of some of those year by year. But paper can be overwhelming and it can take time to go through that. But once you get on top of having like a 3-ring binder or an expando folder, and then you start doing it annually and getting rid of those old ones, it goes a lot faster. So this is my closet area, and I have both winter and summer things in here, but I used to have to switch this out all summer, all winter, every single time. I still have 2 suitcases of clothes that I'm still trying to figure out if I'm keeping, not keeping. And if you see this king size comforter bag up here, it has throw pillows in it, but I had like 3 of these full of clothes of different sizes, and I had 2 totes under my bed. Now this one has pillows in it. I still have 2 partial bags like this left with some clothes, the 2 suitcases, and this. And then I have a closet with some jackets in it from when I wore dress jackets. And that is all I have left. So even though this still looks like a lot, I have gotten rid of a lot. So I've actually started getting rid of some bigger clothing. I'm going to keep some of it just in case. I hope I never get to that size again, but just in case, I'll keep a few items because it is expensive to go back and repurchase. But I've got some slacks here that are a size or 2 too big now, and I don't wear slacks anymore now that I don't have a 9 to 5. I have some dresses that I might wear if I need to dress up, but I'm going to post these on eBay. And most recently, I've also posted some other clothing items that I had. And then like I got 2 CDs for Christmas from 2 different daughters that was the same CD. And I didn't have the receipt to take it back, so I posted that. So just a few odds and ends I'm still posting on eBay. And I've made 2 more sales. And that may not sound like much, but everything I get out of the house encourages me to keep going. And it also encourages me to post things on eBay because I try to keep a certain amount of things on there because like I said before, the more you post, the more likely people are to see things. I think right now I maybe have 24, 25 items. And let me show you how much I keep in my totes for sale because I limit myself to this area to how much I keep that I will resell. Everything else I donate. So this right here is where I keep the things that I have for sale. I try to limit myself to just this little stack so that it doesn't get out of hand. I do not want a whole back room of things that I am trying to sell. So this is one way I keep myself in check. This box right here is ready to go and be donated, and this bag of clothing here is ready to go and be recycled. We actually have a Goodwill that recycles clothing. So if we put clothes in a bag and tell them it's for scrap, they don't even have to sort through it. They just put it in the barrel or whatever that goes for recycled clothing. And it makes me feel good about letting things go that I feel like are not worth reselling. And then I always hang on to a few boxes because these work really well for donating items. I make sure that my name label and everything is pulled off before I donate things. But this box actually is full of some more of those things that were too big for me that I'm letting go. So those are some of the things that I've been working on, and let me know where you're at with decluttering. Have you started the second pass through? Have you started going through some of the things that are seasonal? Where are you at with your decluttering? I would love to hear it in the comments. I thank you so much for listening today, and I hope to talk to you soon.